Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing this set and I'm super happy to be showing you guys how I did this set. I really enjoyed it and it came out really beautiful. So I'm going to start off by prepping my client's nails. Just making sure we shorten the nail before we go ahead and buff and prep for the acrylic application. Now that we're all done, we're gonna push back the cuticles just so we can have a better prepped nail. If you don't push back the cuticles, you can always go in with your e-file and buff it out. This just kind of helps push back whatever is too hard, because sometimes it does stay a little too much. So now we're gonna go in and buff it. I forgot what grit what this band is, but I'm pretty sure it's like what is it, a 180 maybe, 100. It's not an 80, but I can put it down below in the description if you guys like. Anyways, when you're prepping the nail, just make sure you're constantly lifting your e-file because that shit burns. And I did have to adjust my camera just because I felt like it was, I don't know, a wrong angle. So we're just going to finish up this little buffing, and then so we could get to the tips. So as I'm buffing, I decide whether or not I need to trim the cuticles. Sometimes it's a little bit and sometimes it's a lot. I've had a lot of clients that their cuticle grows over the nail and I have to push that all the way back and trim it. But she only had a little bit, so I just kind of did some cleanup work. So I just skipped through all that just because I didn't want you guys to get bored. I know I probably would. So I wanted to get more to the fun part. I know not everybody likes to see cuticles being trimmed, but I make it a very important service when I'm doing nails, because it's gonna help with any lifting. I've noticed back when I first was learning to do nails, a problem of mine was lifting and I wouldn't be fixing or cleaning up the cuticles. So now that I do that, I don't really have that problem at all. Anyways, let's stop talking about cuticles. Let's talk about tips. I measure the tips starting from the top of the finger next to the knuckle. I don't really follow the finger more towards the end because we all have that little curve. And I've had some clients with some very straight fingers and I'm kind of jealous, but I'm always gonna do my 100% to make the fingernails look super straight. And I am using the tapered square C-curve tips. These are from Amazon. You want to press down on the nail for about 10 seconds. I count like a very quick 10 seconds.
and you kind of want to like rock back and forth. And even when you think it's on there, just make sure, go back real quick for a second and make sure that the tip is adhered perfectly, because you don't want any tips popping off. I remember in the beginning when I'd be doing nails, I would go back to file them and they'd pop off, and that was the most annoying thing. So over time I learned just to make sure that they're secure, and now I don't have that problem. Once we're done with the tips, this is where my client decides how long or short they want their nails. And she decided that she wanted them this length. So I am gonna just match them up, make sure that they all look the same length at least, right? We all want the same length nails. And I'm gonna go ahead just back and forth. This is a different technique that I use. I've seen some people use that form, and that's cool too. It's just a way, or you can always use the little magnets. I've been wanting to do that actually, but I don't have I honestly don't have a reason to. I feel like I size my nails pretty good, and I always like how they come out. So now I'm gonna file the tips. I do file the top of the tip just to blend in the tip to the natural nail. That makes it easier for when you apply acrylic and then go into file. I had a problem with the tips kind of sticking out of the acrylic, and then it'll look like a little clear spot, and we don't need that. So just make sure you blend your nail tips. And we are doing a tapered square, so I'm making sure the sides are crisp and the ends are really nice and straight. Another thing that I feel can be missed very easily is filing the bottom side of the nail tip. You want to kind of angle the finger so you're able to see the side profile and make sure it's straight. And most likely with a C-curve, it's going to kind of go a little down. So you want to make sure you put your file there and just make sure that's kind of straight. File it up a little bit. You want to be careful though with filing into your client's natural nail, and that can easily happen. Just make sure you angle the file away from that, and that way you can have a nice straight nail when you look at it from the side. After I'm all done filing, you want to make sure there's no dust or any oils, and of course you're always going to miss just a little bit of oils, any debris, so we use our dehydrator to make sure that's all clear. And then we're going to go in with our primer. We are going to prime twice. Not a lot of people prime twice. I prime twice. I find it good for my lifting. And here we are priming twice. Now to the fun part, our acrylic application. I am using the Kiara Sky. I forgot the color for this acrylic, but my client wanted all pastel colors kind of for spring. She didn't want an Easter set, she wanted a spring set, so we went with spring colors. I can always get the name for this acrylic if you guys like this one. It is from Kiara Sky, and we are going to be doing an ombre, so I like to do the bottom base color and then let that set, and then that way we can ombre out our nude or whatever color that's going on top. Now this nail is going to be all nude. We're going to be adding, I forgot what we add to this one. We're just going to have to wait more towards the end. But I am using, I think I used 2 or 3 beads. And it's okay to always go back in if you feel like there's a little dip or you didn't put enough. You can always file that off, but you don't want to put too much neither, because we don't want to spend a lot of time filing, right? So I'm just going to make sure the nail is perfect. I kind of move my client's finger to see every angle, and then I obviously saw something that I needed to fix. So I just grabbed a little bit more acrylic, and that's an easy fix. These beads are a bit wet because I'm not trying to build on top of the acrylic that I already laid down. I am doing it just to kind of fill in those dips, and I'm not trying to bring that up. I'm just trying to even it out. Now we're going into our Valentino yellow. I really like this yellow towards springtime. It's a really cute pastel color, and it's not too light or not too dark. Honestly, Valentino colors, sometimes they can range in their pigments and they don't have too much pigmentation, but this one came out really nice. Now we're going in our Tierra Nieves acrylic. Tierra Nieves, I found her on Instagram one day. This was one day about a year or 2 ago. She came up across on my Explore, and I went on her page. She had a lot of followers, and I seen that she was making her own brand. So I thought that was really cool, and I really liked all the colors she had. So I got a few of her colors, and ever since I've been in love with this purple or lavender, and I always use it for any lavender set that I'm asked to do, and it always comes out very cute. It's like a cool lavender, not too warm. So now we're gonna go back to our pointer finger so we can do our nude nail. We're gonna keep the ring finger and the pointer finger nude. I think I add some diamonds, and then we do a design. And then after, we're gonna go into our ombre. I keep going out of frame, and I know that's kind of annoying. When I'm in the zone, I just do my work. Honestly, this first half of doing nails of her set, I completely forgot that I was recording. Even towards the middle and the end, I'm just zoning out and we're talking and I'm doing nails. This is what I do, so I just forget that I'm recording. But I promise you, the other hand, it's like completely in this frame. So bear with me. We're gonna go back into our ombre right now. I am using, what was it? It's from Young Nails. I believe it's a rosebud or cover rosebud. This is actually a very cute nude. And it's funny because my client, when she brought her inspo, I looked at the nude on there and I was like, I just got this nude. So I had just bought it that week, and I was just trying out different nudes, and I'm glad that I got it because it went well with this set. It's like a rosy nude, so I really loved it. As soon as I started ombreing out, I was in love. So there's different techniques to ombreing. This is how I do it. I find it easier for me, and the most accurate, I guess. It blends very nicely, and it's almost like it just blends, like, you know. It also depends on what kind of acrylic, and obviously I'm using the Young Nails monomer, so I feel like when I use that one with the acrylic that it's supposed to, it blends very nicely. If I use it with like a, I don't know, like let's say with the Kiara Sky one, you definitely have to use the monomer that belongs with that brand, just because sometimes, especially if you're going to do an ombre, because sometimes it doesn't give you the right consistency and it could be harder. So I know who wants to be going back and forth with monomers, but if you're doing an ombre set, make that a habit. If not, you know, if it's just all one color and all that, and you don't have a problem with blending or anything like that, it's fine to mix and match. But for an ombre set, I do prefer to use the monomer to the powder. So now we're finishing up this set, and I am encapsulating my ombre. Always encapsulate your ombre because you're going to go back into file, and you don't want to file into that beautiful ombre, especially all that time and hard work. You don't want to mess that up, right? Now we're just going to be doing the same thing on the opposite hand, and we're going to go in with our colors first. Gonna lay out a nice thin layer of acrylic for our color. A lot of people, I guess, have problems when doing an ombre because they do make this part thick, and you're literally painting the acrylic on there. I mean, you don't want it too thin either, but you do want to lay it out nice, even and flat, and just blend that very nicely. At the top, you want it very thin, more towards the area that's going to be blending with the second color. The ends, you don't have to worry so much, as the acrylic more towards the natural nail. And then from there, we're going to go into our nude, which is our Cover Rosebud from Young Nails. A favorite one, I recommend this color. The nude is just very nice. It almost looks like, what would I say, like it blends in with the nail. It kind of looks like a nail color. So yeah, so now we're just gonna go in and do our ring finger and our pointer finger, and then start back up with our ombre. Now we're going to go into file, and we're just going to be filing the sides just to make sure if any of the acrylic kind of moved around or if we added too much on the sides or on top. I do file with my hand file on the top side of the profile of the nail. That just helps to make sure that the end to the mid of the nail is kind of even, and it also marks where I would have to go with my e-file if there is any inconsistency. While I'm filing each nail, I am looking at the other nails just to see the different sides, and I will go back sometimes just to file a little piece that I see. And that's, I guess, a good thing, to constantly be looking at all the nails, because you do want perfect shaped nails. You don't want any lumps, you don't want any, sideways and all that. So I do want to make sure that every one of my clients gets a perfect set of nails. So I do take my time in making sure everything is perfect. So now we're just dusting off any powder or dust that we did from filing, and we're gonna go in with our e-file. My e-file, I use it to clean up the cuticle area, also bring down the apex area if I feel like I went too high on it. I don't really use it towards the end of the nail. I do kind of blend the apex area to it. That's about it. We're not taking any acrylic off at the end. We use the hand file for that. But mainly what I use the e-file for is my cuticle area. We're going to make sure we have that nice crisp horse shape on our nail. Make sure it's nice and it flows with the finger, like that area. You don't want to, if the nail is more square, you're going to follow that square shape. The nail's more round, you're going to follow the round shape. You don't want to make a round shape on a square nail, like where the cuticle area is, just because then you're going to start to take off acrylic, and we're not going to be doing that today. We're going to be making sure that the entire nail is sealed with acrylic, we're just blending it and making it nice and smooth at this point. We're gonna finish up the opposite hand, and finally we'll go into filing just any crisp edges and then buffing it out, and then we're gonna get to the decorating and artsy part. We're just gonna go in really quick one more time with our hand file. We're just gonna make sure that any edges or corners are extra crisp and super straight, and if anything else on the side profile, if it's lumpy or bumpy, we can always go in with that just in case if we missed it with our e-file. Finally, the extra fun part, we're going to be doing our 3D flowers today. The nail inspo that my client brought in had some flowers, so I told her I can definitely do those. We're going to be using the same colors that we use for our ombre, and this is how I do my 3D flowers. If you guys have any questions, you guys can always ask me down below in the comments if you guys need some tips on how to do 3D flowers. This first petal kind of gave me some struggle. I had to kind of go back and forth. I do wet the nail with monomer, so you kind of want to let the monomer dry a little bit before you do add a petal, because then this happens and you kind of have to like push it back and forth so it doesn't just go flat and spread everywhere. But now that that's all dry, we're able to kind of mold the petal better. We're just going to go in and start adding our beads of acrylic. And we're going to be doing 2 to 3 flowers on here. And when you're watching, you'll see that I kind of go back and forth. The reason why I go back and forth with adding my petals is because it does take some time to dry. And in the beginning, I would go 1 petal at a time, and we'd be there 30 minutes to an hour just doing 2 to 4 nails of 3D flowers. So now, to save some time for me and my client, I do add 2 to 3 beads, and as I'm working on one, the other one's kind of setting and the other one is still kind of wet. So you have to learn how to manage the time in between petals when you do 3D flowers, or you are going to be there for a while and nobody wants that, right? So I do add diamonds after I do my 3D flowers. Sometimes you can do the diamond before and then work around that. It's just because I'm adding the diamonds that are tinier. If they were a little bit bigger, it'd be okay, but because they're so tiny, you don't want to mess that up and accidentally put acrylic over it or anything like that. So we're going to be adding diamonds after. And now we're using our blue. I really like this blue. I feel like when I go in with the purple, because it is a Young Nails monomer and then the Tierra Nieves acrylic powder, those two don't go well together, but I still manage, and I haven't found a monomer to go with her acrylic powder yet. And of course it would probably be best to use her like monomer, but I only use Young Nails and Kiara Sky, so they both kind of don't work with it, but obviously you see that I make it work, so that's all that matters. And so now we're just gonna finish up our flowers, and I hope you guys like the way I do them. If you guys also feel like you guys can give me some tips or tricks on how to do my 3D flowers, feel free to leave comments down below. If you guys feel like anything I'm doing can be done easier or faster, let me know, because I'm always trying to learn more. I'm always trying to find ways to do it cheaper, faster, easier, you know, all those types of things. So feel free to leave a comment down below. I never take anything to heart. I'm always in the learning mood. So when I put the blue petals, I put them a little too low, so it didn't give me enough room to do a full flower with the purple acrylic. So I'm just going to do 2 petals on the bottom, like towards the bottom. And then because I didn't want it to look so empty towards the area between the yellow flowers and the blue flowers, I decided to add a little purple flower as well. I confirmed it with my client if that was okay first, and she said yeah, that's perfectly fine. I just wanted it to kind of look full like the other nail, and because it wasn't gonna look full just because we brought the blue flower down a bit. So I know it is kind of pretty hard to make sure you do them even, but even if you don't, you can always improvise and it shouldn't even be a problem. And here I am telling her my vision and confirming with her, and she's like, yeah, go for it. So we went for it, and it ended up coming out beautiful. we're finally all done with our 3D flowers, and now we're gonna go in with our diamonds. I am using the Mia Secret diamond glue, and this one is my favorite. I never have a problem with it. The diamonds stay on 2+ weeks, even up to a month or two. I've had clients come back and they're like, girl, these diamonds aren't going nowhere. It happens. One, maybe two will fall off. It happens, it's normal, and it's just glue. So I don't stress too much about if a diamond or two falls off, but almost every time 100% of the diamonds stay on. So I stand by this glue, and I like it because it's still workable in between. I feel like depending on the weather, the glue will dry faster or slower, so you kind of have to work at a fast pace. But anyways, we're gonna go in with our bigger diamonds and smaller diamonds and decorate that finger, make it very pretty. And then we're gonna be adding diamonds onto our flowers so we can finish that cute look up. And she loved them already, so we're gonna go back onto the next hand and just do the same thing that we did on the opposite hand. Add our little diamonds and all that fun stuff. Now for the center of the 3D flowers, I am going in with a smaller diamond. I didn't want to do a big one just because I feel like sometimes it can look too clumpy. So we went with smaller ones, and I'm glad we ended up doing that because they came out really cute and it had a nice little shine. Now we're going to be going into our last step, and we are going to be applying matte gel today. Her nail inspo is matte, and I asked her if she wanted matte, so we did matte. Whenever you have nail inspo, you can switch it up. It doesn't have to be the same. It's just an idea. But she wanted matte, so we went with matte, and I think matte's beautiful anyways, especially with these colors and ombre. It makes it look very nice. I decided to skip this nail for now because I didn't want to use the brush on this gel because it's thicker. So I decided that I'll go back after and I can use a nail art brush just so I can get in between the flowers because I didn't want to mess anything up because they were too cute. I also go back in with a nail art brush to put some gel onto the bigger diamonds. That way it holds and it doesn't have any openings where anything can get stuck, like clothes or hair, and it could just yank it off. So we definitely always want to make sure to seal that. Now we're going to cure each hand for 60 seconds, oil up the cuticles, and here's the final look, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next video.